We've all been conditioned to see time as a constant, as the ticking seconds that march us through each day, from sunrise to sunset, from one deadline to the next. Time as we know it feels unchanging, rigid, even oppressive at times. But what if, just for a moment, we set aside that idea? What if time, instead of being this hard, unyielding line, is actually something far more fluid, more alive, something deeply woven into the very essence of existence? Here's where it gets truly intriguing. According to ancient wisdom and modern thinkers alike, time might not just be a simple measure of minutes and hours. Instead, it's a universal frequency, a rhythm, a pulse that connects every part of life, from the stars above to the deepest reaches of our minds and souls. In this view, time is not merely a when but a how, a flow that we can either resist or align with. It's a reminder that we're part of something much bigger, that each beat of the cosmic clock could, in some profound way, resonate within us. Just consider, what if our modern concept of time is an illusion? A construct that limits us, that keeps us detached from the true rhythm of the universe? This idea might seem abstract, almost too mystical for some. But take a moment to feel this, not just think about it. Deep down, in those quiet moments of life when we truly let go of our schedules, have you ever sensed a connection to something timeless? Perhaps while staring up at a starlit sky, or listening to the ocean's waves. Those moments when time seems to dissolve, and all that's left is a feeling of being. Maybe, just maybe, time isn't as straightforward as we've been told. And perhaps, if we're willing to explore this idea together, we'll uncover a way to live in harmony with a time that's not just ticking away, but calling to us, asking us to join its cosmic dance. Before we dive deeper into this mind-bending concept, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you're feeling that spark of curiosity. This video is part of our playlist, The 12 Laws That Govern the Universe, where we explore the hidden forces shaping our reality and unlocking higher consciousness. Each law opens up new dimensions of understanding and growth, so make sure you're along for this journey. Now, let's go deeper into the basic principle of the law of time. This law challenges the core of what we've been taught to believe, that time is a straightforward linear sequence, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. But according to this profound wisdom, time is not just a linear path, it's a frequency of universal synchronization. Think about it. Instead of the familiar beat of seconds and hours, the law of time reveals an interconnected rhythm that pulses through all existence. Imagine time as a grand, cosmic melody, a kind of universal music that all life is moving to. Each creature, each star, every natural event, everything is in sync with this invisible frequency. It's not just passing by, it's connecting everything, uniting every piece of existence in an unbroken harmony. Here's what's fascinating. This perspective suggests that there is a natural order of time, something that the universe has built into its very structure. This isn't the artificial time that we live by, the schedules, the deadlines, the calendars. It's something ancient, almost sacred. It's a pulse, a natural order that the universe itself follows, and it invites us to do the same. We're about to explore how this frequency operates, how it's different from the time we know, and how aligning with it can open up an entirely new level of awareness. This is just the beginning, but it's already offering us a profound invitation to reconsider everything we know about time and to align ourselves with a rhythm that might just be the key to greater harmony and understanding in our lives. Alright, now that we've cracked open the door to a new way of seeing time, let's step further into this fascinating concept. The idea of time as a frequency. This isn't the clock time that ticks away on our phones and watches, measuring minutes in rigid increments. No, this is a frequency, a harmonic cycle known as the 1320 frequency. It's a rhythm the ancients understood intuitively, a natural pulse deeply embedded in life itself. Here's the thing. In this view, time isn't just passing. Instead, it's experienced as a flow, a pattern of creation and renewal. Imagine a heartbeat that doesn't just mark the passage of seconds but aligns with every pulse in the cosmos. The 1320 frequency speaks to this order. Here, 13 represents galactic tones, cycles that reflect the larger rhythms of the universe. And 20 is tied to solar seals, linking us to our own sun, the core source of energy for life on Earth. Together, they form a cycle that speaks to both cosmic order and personal connection, an invitation to live in harmony with all of creation. Now, this might seem abstract at first, but when you think about it, doesn't it make more sense than the rigid 12-hour 60-minute system we live by? Our clocks are bound to a 12-hour framework, and our Gregorian calendar locks us into 60-minute hours, both constructs that in many ways disconnect us from nature. These artificial measurements don't reflect the cycles of the moon, the tides, or the changing of the seasons. They can feel almost imposed, like wearing a suit that's just a little too tight. I have to wonder how much of our stress and anxiety is tied to this forced, artificial time system. It's as if we're running on a treadmill set to someone else's pace, always hurrying, always counting down. But what if we could shift? What if, instead of racing against time, we could flow with it? The 1320 frequency invites us to do just that, to align with a rhythm that's softer, more nurturing, and fundamentally in tune with life. There's a kind of beauty in this idea, don't you think? A reminder that we're not meant to be slaves to the clock. Instead, we're part of a grand cosmic rhythm, one that connects us with the stars, the earth, and each other in ways that we're only beginning to rediscover. And that, to me, is profoundly freeing. It's a reminder that we can find peace and harmony, not by controlling time but by aligning with it. Let's keep going deeper into this idea, where time as a frequency reveals a powerful distinction between natural time and artificial time. This might be the key to understanding why so many of us feel disconnected, stressed, and out of sync with life itself. Think about it. Natural time is in harmony with the cycles of the cosmos, with the moon's waxing and waning, the turning of the seasons, and the quiet rhythm of life itself. It's the time that the earth moves to, the same time our ancestors lived by before clocks and calendars took over. But then there's artificial time, the time we're all too familiar with. It's based on the Gregorian calendar, a system that squeezes the natural flow of time into a grid that doesn't quite fit. We divide days into hours, hours into minutes, minutes into seconds, creating a rigid structure that forces us to live by the clock. We've become so accustomed to this way of measuring time that we hardly question it. But is it really in tune with how life is meant to unfold? In my view, there's a certain coldness to artificial time. It's mechanical, detached, like a ticking metronome that measures productivity rather than the ebb and flow of existence. It has a way of pressuring us, making us feel that time is always slipping away, urging us to hurry, to cram more into each day, each hour. It's like living in a race with no finish line, where every moment is a countdown rather than a connection. But then there's the alternative, synchronizing with natural time, a time that follows the rhythms that nature has followed for eons. The tides don't follow a schedule. The moon doesn't measure its phases in minutes. There's a deeper intelligence there, one that we, as a society, have largely lost touch with. And yet, reconnecting with this natural time can change everything. It's a shift from racing against time to flowing with it. Imagine what it would feel like to truly live in natural time, to wake up with the sun, to feel the pull of the moon's cycles, to let each season guide your actions and intentions. Instead of time as a pressure, it becomes a partner. It invites you to slow down, to breathe with the earth's rhythm, to find a sense of peace that can't be found in the rush of a 9-to-5 day. This distinction between natural and artificial time isn't just about how we measure our days, it's about how we experience life. It's a choice between feeling like we're forever out of sync and finding a deeper harmony with the universe. And maybe, just maybe, in that shift, we can find a sense of fulfillment that's been missing all along. As we move forward, let's explore something truly transformative: how aligning with natural time can lead to an elevation of consciousness. This might sound grand, but think about it. When we live by the rhythms of nature rather than the demands of artificial time, something deep inside us begins to change. We find ourselves not only more in sync with the world around us but also more in tune with our own inner lives, our intuition, our sense of purpose. Living in artificial time keeps us in a kind of constant noise, the pressure to do more, be more, achieve more. We're always looking ahead, worrying about the next deadline, the next task. It's as if we're pulled away from the present moment, from the very essence of who we are. But when we shift to natural time, something remarkable happens. We slow down. We begin to notice life in a richer, fuller way. We open ourselves to a consciousness that's not confined by minutes and hours but flows with the cycles of the universe. This is where it gets truly profound. Many spiritual teachers, mystics, and ancient cultures have spoken about this expanded state of awareness, one that arises when we're in harmony with the rhythms of nature. They understood that natural time isn't just about peace or relaxation, it's about deepening our understanding of reality. When we're aligned with this flow, we become more attuned to synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem like messages or signs guiding us. It's as if the universe itself is speaking and suddenly we're listening. Now, I know this might sound almost mystical, but I believe it's something we can all experience. Imagine feeling connected to something greater than yourself, to a wisdom that moves through all things. This isn't just about mindfulness or slowing down, it's about tapping into a universal intelligence that's always been there, waiting for us to tune in. In natural time, our awareness expands beyond the daily grind. We start to see patterns, to feel our place within the vast web of life. Our consciousness rises not through effort but through alignment. When we live in harmony with natural time, we're reminded that life is more than a series of tasks and appointments. It's a journey, a process, a rhythm. And by syncing with this rhythm, we awaken to our own potential, our own depth. This isn't just an idea, it's an invitation to live differently, to let go of the need to rush and instead embrace a path of profound connection, insight, and understanding. Now, let's bring this concept down to earth with practical applications. How can we actually align ourselves with natural time in a way that touches our daily lives? This isn't just a lofty idea. There are real steps we can take to harmonize with this ancient rhythm, allowing it to transform how we move through our days. One powerful practice is adopting the calendar of 13 moons, a system that follows a cycle of 13 months, each with 28 days. This structure, aligned with the natural phases of the moon, offers a stable and balanced rhythm, so different from the irregularities of our traditional calendar. By using this calendar, we reconnect with a cycle that's predictable, harmonious, and reflective of the natural world. It's a way to remind ourselves daily that time is not simply something to manage but something to experience and flow with nature. Then there's the practice of meditation and reflection. Taking even a few minutes each day to tune into the natural rhythms around us can create profound shifts in our perception. This isn't about shutting out the world, it's about tuning in to the cycles of the moon, the changing light, the movement of the seasons. In this quiet space, we begin to feel the pulse of natural time within us, connecting us more deeply to ourselves and to the larger web of life. Another meaningful practice is observing synchronicities. When we're in tune with natural time, we often notice an increase in these coincidences that feel significant. Maybe it's a chance meeting, a timely piece of advice, or a sudden inspiration. In moments like these, it feels as though the universe is reaching out, aligning our path with the rhythm of something much greater. Paying attention to these moments, journaling about them, or simply reflecting on them can deepen our alignment with natural time. And finally, there's creative expression. Art, music, writing, these aren't just hobbies. They're ways to channel our unique rhythm into the world. When we create, we're allowing that inner flow to take shape outside of ourselves. This, too, is a way of syncing with natural time, of bringing the invisible rhythm of life into tangible form. Expressing ourselves creatively isn't just fulfilling. It's a way to feel part of the larger frequency of existence, to realize that our own creations are part of a cosmic dance. By integrating these practices, whether through a new calendar, meditation, synchronicity, or creative expression, we start to live in harmony with natural time. And as we do, we find that life becomes less about managing time and more about moving with it, dancing to its rhythm, and feeling a sense of connection that goes beyond words. As we continue this journey, let's look at some real-life examples of how aligning with natural time can reshape our routines, our sense of well-being, and even the way we see ourselves. Imagine what it might look like to wake up each day with the intention to flow with the rhythms around you, instead of trying to force yourself to fit into a rigid schedule. One simple yet powerful shift is creating a daily routine that honors natural cycles. This can be as small as waking up with the sun and winding down as it sets, tuning into the natural light rather than relying solely on clocks and alarms. Many people who live in tune with natural time find that their energy rises and falls with the sun, the moon, and the seasonal shifts. They feel more alive, more vibrant, and less stressed as they're no longer pushing against the natural flow of energy in their bodies. Then there's the practice of observing the lunar cycle. Each phase of the moon, from new to full and back again, carries a distinct energy that has been recognized by cultures around the world. During the new moon, we might feel drawn to set intentions, to dream about what we want to bring into our lives. As the moon grows, our energy might build, making it an ideal time for action and growth. When it's full, we can take stock, celebrate progress, and release what no longer serves us. And as the moon wanes, we're invited to slow down, to reflect, and to rest. By aligning our activities with these phases, we tap into a natural ebb and flow that can make our lives feel more balanced and purposeful. Another practical way to embrace natural time is through seasonal rituals and celebrations. Imagine honoring each season for what it brings: the renewal of spring, the vibrancy of summer, the harvest of autumn, and the stillness of winter. By celebrating these shifts, we're reminded that life is cyclical and that each phase has its own value. We stop fighting the natural changes within ourselves and learn to embrace them. It's a chance to mark time not by deadlines but by the beauty of nature's rhythms. And then there's the power of community. When we align with natural time, we often feel drawn to connect with others who are doing the same. Imagine joining a circle of people who gather to meditate, to celebrate the moon's phases, or to mark the change of seasons. In these shared experiences we find support, we feel less alone, and we're reminded of our shared journey within this universal rhythm. There's something profoundly healing in being part of a group that values time as a connector, not a constraint. By aligning our lives in these ways, we start to experience time as an ally, a friend that moves with us rather than against us. We see that our routines aren't just tasks to be checked off but rituals that anchor us in the present. And through this alignment we begin to feel a deep sense of belonging, not just to a schedule or a routine but to life itself. As we dig even deeper, let's talk about the impact of artificial time on our modern lives and the toll it often takes on our well-being. We live in a world bound by the ticking of clocks and the numbers on a calendar, a structure that seems efficient but in many ways disconnects us from the very essence of life itself. When we operate solely within artificial time, we're often trapped in what feels like a perpetual race. A race against deadlines, meetings, obligations, and productivity goals. This system, the 12-hour 60 minutes frequency, doesn't mirror the flow of nature. Instead, it fragments our lives into rigid units. We end up measuring success in terms of hours worked and tasks completed rather than by the richness of our experiences or the depth of our connections. Artificial time pressures us to be constantly on the move, always thinking ahead to the next task, rarely allowing us to simply be. And what does this do to us? It creates stress, anxiety, and a sense of disconnection. We find ourselves feeling out of sync, not just with nature but with our own bodies and minds. The constant emphasis on making the most of our time leads us to feel as though time is always slipping away, like sand through our fingers. How often do we hear people say, "I don't have enough time"? That scarcity mindset around time creates a cycle of urgency, making it hard to slow down and savor the moments that actually give life meaning. But perhaps the greatest impact is on our sense of purpose and fulfillment. When we view time as something to manage, as an endless resource to be divided up and optimized, we lose sight of its sacred quality. Time becomes transactional, something we feel pressured to use wisely in every moment, yet we rarely ask ourselves, what is time for? We may even come to view ourselves as units of productivity, measured by what we accomplish rather than who we are. In contrast, natural time invites us to shift from doing to being. It asks us to release the pressure of deadlines and focus instead on experiencing life as it unfolds. By letting go of artificial time's demands, we create space for spontaneity, creativity, and true presence. Imagine being able to pause, not to check something off a list, but to simply appreciate a moment for what it is: a breath, a sensation, a feeling of connection to something greater. Perhaps if we could step back from this relentless pursuit of time as a commodity, we'd find ourselves closer to a life that feels meaningful and aligned. We'd realize that time doesn't control us. Rather, it's a rhythm, an invitation to move with grace and purpose. And maybe, just maybe, we'd begin to see that true fulfillment comes not from the quantity of our moments, but from the quality of the life we live within them. Now, let's delve into something even more expansive: how the law of time connects with other universal laws, forming a larger, interconnected framework that guides us in both subtle and profound ways. The law of time is not isolated. It resonates deeply with principles like the law of vibration and the law of unity, creating a harmonious web that brings our lives into alignment with the flow of the universe. The law of vibration tells us that everything in existence is in constant motion, vibrating at its own frequency. When we think of time as a frequency, as a unique vibration that connects all things, we start to see the profound link between these laws. Time is no longer a passive backdrop. It's an active participant in the energy of the cosmos. This means that by aligning ourselves with natural time, we're not just syncing with a calendar or a rhythm. We're tuning into a universal frequency that influences every thought, feeling, and action. This alignment brings us closer to the law of unity, the understanding that everything in the universe is interconnected, bound by a shared essence. When we see time as a unifying frequency, it becomes clear that our actions and experiences are not isolated moments but parts of a greater whole. Each moment, each intention, each cycle contributes to the vast web of existence, weaving us together in ways we might not even realize. It's a reminder that our lives, our energy, and our consciousness are intertwined with everything around us. Living in harmony with natural time means embracing this interconnectedness. It's an invitation to move beyond the me versus the world mindset and recognize that we are all part of a collective rhythm. This is where the law of time becomes a bridge, not only between us and the natural world but between our personal journeys and the larger tapestry of existence. It's a chance to let go of separation and see ourselves as threads in the cosmic fabric, each playing a vital role. And it goes even further. When we align with natural time, we're tuning into the universe's symphony of energies, where each law, whether it's vibration, unity, attraction, or rhythm, works in harmony. Our lives become a dance with these principles, and we're reminded that, at our core, we are both creators and participants in this universal flow. Time, then, isn't something to be conquered or controlled. It's a partner in our journey toward understanding, evolution, and connection. In living this way, we're invited to see each moment as sacred, each cycle as meaningful, each vibration as part of a greater purpose. The universe is not distant. It's within us, moving through us, guiding us. And when we truly grasp this, we begin to see that the law of time is not just about minutes or days, it's about our place in a timeless, boundless whole, a unity that holds us all. As we come to the conclusion of this journey into the law of time, we're left with a profound opportunity for personal reflection and transformation. This isn't just a theory or philosophy, it's an invitation to reshape our relationship with time, to embrace a more natural, harmonious way of living that aligns with the rhythms of the cosmos. Imagine if we all began to approach each day not as a series of tasks to complete but as a series of moments to fully experience. What if we could wake up each morning and ask ourselves not just, what do I need to accomplish today? But how can I flow with today's energy? How can I honor the rhythm I'm a part of? This shift in perspective, from seeing time as a constraint to viewing it as a guide, can be incredibly liberating. Living by the law of time means seeing the sacredness in each moment and understanding that every day, every cycle, every phase of life has its purpose. It's a chance to slow down, to breathe deeply, to observe the subtle, beautiful ways that the universe unfolds around us and within us. And as we align with this natural rhythm, we find that life becomes less about pushing and more about allowing, less about controlling and more about trusting. This new relationship with time can lead us to greater peace, fulfillment, and connection. It's about being present, fully awake to the richness of life, rather than rushing through it. When we live this way, we realize that each moment holds a message, a lesson, a gift. And in embracing this, we start to experience a deeper sense of meaning, as if the universe itself is speaking through the rhythm of our days. So, as we conclude, consider this. The law of time is an invitation to awaken, to step off the treadmill of artificial time and into the flow of something timeless. It asks us to listen, to observe, and to honor the natural cycles that have always been there, waiting for us to tune in. This journey isn't about abandoning our responsibilities or schedules. It's about transforming how we relate to them. It's about finding harmony in a world that often feels chaotic, and knowing that, when we're aligned with the rhythm of the universe, we're exactly where we need to be. Let this understanding guide you, inspire you, and remind you that time, in its truest form, is not something we use up or run out of. It's a rhythm, a sacred flow that connects us all. And in that flow, we discover our deepest sense of belonging, to ourselves, to each other, and to the boundless universe we're part of.